The DA says it is proceeding with its High Court case in the High Court in Pretoria today. The opposition party is seeking legal certainty on the executive's obligations under international law, despite President Vladimir Putin not attending next month's BRICS Summit in South Africa. SABC News reporter Canny Maphanga is there. Canny, I'm busy calling it the SANC. It's written there as that. SABC reporter, that makes a little bit more sense. Canny, good to see you. So talk to us. Why is the DA continuing with this case? Because we've heard now that the Russian President Vladimir Putin will not be attending. It'll be virtual.
Well, good morning to you, Leanne, and the viewers at home. Indeed, as you've correctly stated, this morning we were intending to hear the DA's application for a declaratory order where they were seeking relief, which would in effect compel the arrest of the Russian President Vladimir Putin if he were to arrive in South Africa. But of course, those plans by the DA were foiled by the presidency's announcement 2 days ago, stating that Putin would not be attending the BRICS Summit in August physically, but he would be represented by his Foreign Minister Lavrov, and we do understand that there may be some parts he may partake in virtually. Now, that has left us with a scenario that no longer exists. The relief sought by the DA would be that upon receipt of that ICC warrant of arrest, they would then have to detain or arrest Putin and surrender him over to the ICC. Now, they were seeking a safeguard or a blueprint that would give them this court order to say that these are the guidelines for the executive under international law. Now we know that scenario doesn't exist. Now, while the DA has welcomed the recent developments by the presidency and the South African government, they're still stating that the court has further issues that they need to clarify. So number one, the DA is saying that although this instance of the Russian president no longer exists, there is still the possibility of such an instance arising again. Remember, this is not the first time we've seen a warrant of arrest issued and the president or whoever the individual is going to visit South Africa. We have this incident, we've seen it before with the 2015 incident of Omar al-Bashir, and then they were preempting what could have possibly taken place with the Russian President Putin had the developments not been ventilated over the last 2 days or clarified by the South African government. We would not have had a clear understanding. So now what they're saying is we still need that legal precedent which will govern what will happen in the future if such an instance does arise. Then of course, number two, the DA is saying that they are part of the president's affidavit that they wish to still challenge. It is not clear at this stage which parts they wish to challenge, because when the confidential affidavit was made public, it just spoke on the issues of why the ICC issue was confidential and why the presidency was listing some of the risks that they saw in giving effect to this arrest, as well as them saying that it was misguided and premature at the time. Then number three, of course, the DA is going to seek costs. You may remember that they've had to bring this application because at the time they weren't getting a clear answer from the South African government as to whether or not they would give effect to the arrest warrants issued out by the ICC. We know the DA's position has been clear, an oversimplified position, that if President Putin did arrive in SA, he would have to be arrested. But of course, for the South African government, it's a decision that went beyond the rule of law. It also dealt with politics and intricate diplomatic issues. And we can see from the president's affidavit that a lot of consultations and processes needed to take place before we've reached the conclusion that we reached today. So we expect that the hearing will start at 10 a.m. and then we'll hear a bit more about the DA's submissions, because it is essentially asking the court to set a legal precedent on an instance that has not arisen yet. So something that they preempt may happen in the future. But of course, we'll continue to give you updates as that hearing begins, or is expected to begin at 10 a.m. this morning. Over to you in studio.